The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, is America's emergency oil stockpile, a hidden but vital part of the nation's energy security. It's not just a collection of oil tanks, it's a carefully managed resource designed to shield the country from sudden shocks in the global oil market. Think of it as an underground insurance policy against energy crises, quietly standing by in case the unexpected happens. The oil is stored deep within massive salt caverns, carved out beneath the Earth's surface, where it's protected from the elements and ready for rapid deployment. The SPR was created in the wake of the 1970s oil embargo, a time when Americans faced long lines at gas stations and the nation realized just how vulnerable it was to foreign supply disruptions. Lawmakers decided the U.S. needed a buffer, a way to buy time and keep the economy running if imports were suddenly cut off. Today, the reserve is stored in vast salt caverns along the Gulf Coast, chosen for their natural ability to safely contain oil for decades. The SPR can hold over 700 million barrels, making it the largest emergency oil reserve in the world. That's enough oil to replace several months of imports if disaster strikes, whether it's a hurricane, a geopolitical conflict, or a major supply chain breakdown. The reserve acts as a cushion, giving leaders time to respond and markets time to adjust. The president has the authority to order a release of oil from the SPR, a powerful tool to stabilize markets and reassure the public during times of uncertainty. This decision isn't taken lightly. It's reserved for moments when the nation's energy security is truly at risk. By releasing oil, the government can help prevent economic chaos, keep critical industries running, and ensure that Americans can still get to work, school, and the store, even in the midst of a crisis. The very existence of the SPR also sends a message to the world. The U.S. is prepared. It deters adversaries from weaponizing oil and using it as leverage, knowing America has a backup plan. In times of global crisis, the reserve helps calm volatile markets, providing a sense of stability when uncertainty is high. It's a tool for both economic and national security. Managing the SPR is a constant balancing act, deciding when to draw down reserves, when to refill them, and how to maintain the infrastructure so it's always ready for action. Teams of engineers and maintenance crews work year-round to inspect, repair, and upgrade the facilities, ensuring that the oil can be delivered quickly and safely whenever it's needed. The SPR isn't about manipulating gas prices for short-term political gain. It's a last line of defense, reserved for true emergencies that threaten the nation's well-being. Most Americans rarely think about the SPR, even as they fill up their cars or drive past oil tanks on the highway. Yet, its presence quietly protects their daily lives. Behind the scenes, emergency drills and constant monitoring ensure the reserve is always ready to respond, no matter what the future holds. The health of the SPR is a reflection of America's preparedness and resilience in an uncertain world, a silent guardian standing ready for whatever comes next. The Biden administration faced a perfect storm: soaring gas prices at the pump, frustrated drivers, and mounting pressure from both the public and lawmakers to take action. As Americans watched their fuel bills climb, the administration was forced to confront not only domestic economic pain, but also a rapidly shifting global energy landscape. International turmoil, including supply chain disruptions and diplomatic tensions, added to the urgency. In response, the White House made a bold decision, one that would make headlines around the world: a historic use of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, to stabilize markets and provide relief. In late 2021, the administration announced the release of 50 million barrels from the SPR. This move was not made in isolation. It was carefully coordinated with other major economies, including China, India, Japan, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. The goal was clear: to ease global oil prices and send a message of unity in the face of economic uncertainty. But the situation escalated dramatically in early 2022, when Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent shockwaves through global energy markets. Oil prices surged to levels not seen in years, threatening to derail economic recovery efforts worldwide. In response, the Biden administration authorized an unprecedented release: 1 million barrels per day for 6 months, totaling 180 million barrels. This aggressive drawdown was designed to cool overheated prices and buy time for global supply chains to adjust. Officials described it as a necessary bridge, providing stability until new sources of oil could come online and market volatility could subside. However, the scale of the drawdown sparked intense debate. critics warned that draining the SPR to its lowest level in 4 decades, just 347 million barrels by mid-2023, could leave the United States dangerously exposed in the event of another crisis or supply shock. Supporters, on the other hand, argued that the administration's actions were a pragmatic response to an extraordinary global emergency. They insisted it was not just a political maneuver, but a vital step to protect American consumers and the broader economy. As the immediate crisis faded, the national conversation shifted. The focus moved from short-term gas prices to the long-term question of energy security, resilience, and the future of America's strategic reserves. The depletion of the SPR became a central issue in debates over U.S. energy policy, raising tough questions about how to balance emergency preparedness with the need for economic stability in an unpredictable world. As of December 2025, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, holds just over 400 million barrels of oil. This is a significant improvement from its lowest point in recent years, when emergency releases left the reserve at historic lows. However, even with this progress, the SPR is still far from its maximum capacity, and the journey to fully replenish it is only beginning. Refilling the reserve isn't as simple as just buying more oil. The process is complex and requires careful planning and coordination at every step. The Department of Energy must purchase oil strategically, making sure not to drive up global prices. This means negotiating contracts with suppliers, timing purchases to take advantage of market dips, and coordinating the safe delivery of millions of barrels to storage sites along the Gulf Coast. But before large-scale refilling can even begin, the infrastructure itself needs attention. Years of rapid drawdowns have strained the system, leaving pipelines, pumps, and storage caverns in need of costly repairs and upgrades. Some facilities are decades old and require modernization to safely handle new oil deliveries. Maintenance delays and nearly $280 million in unexpected costs have slowed progress, forcing officials to prioritize urgent repairs over expansion. On top of these technical hurdles, Congress must approve billions of dollars in funding for both repairs and oil purchases. The process is often slow and political, with debates over energy policy and budget priorities. A full refill could cost up to $20 billion, requiring tough choices about where federal dollars should go. Every dollar spent on the SPR is a dollar not spent elsewhere, making the decision a contentious one. The current state of the SPR is the direct result of decades of policy decisions, emergency actions, and shifting priorities. Each release and refill has shaped the reserve's capacity and readiness for future crises. Restoring the SPR to full strength is a massive logistical, financial, and political challenge. It requires coordination between government agencies, private industry, and lawmakers, all working toward the same goal. Ultimately, America's energy security depends on how, and how quickly, this vital buffer is rebuilt. The choices made today will shape the nation's resilience for years to come. The Trump administration's approach to refilling the SPR is slow and methodical, citing infrastructure repairs and fiscal responsibility. Despite campaign promises to refill immediately, the administration began with small purchases, just 1 million barrels in late 2025. Deals like the ExxonMobil exchange are incremental steps, not a rapid fix. Officials argue that rushing would inflate prices and risk further damage to the reserve. The administration blames inherited infrastructure issues for the slow pace. Their energy dominance agenda prioritizes boosting domestic production over a quick SPR refill. Refilling is framed as prudent, not urgent, a long-term project. The strategy is positioned as necessary cleanup and careful stewardship. Refilling the SPR depends on Congress, which controls the funding. The Trump administration's plans are limited by what lawmakers will approve. In 2025, a proposed $1.5 billion package was whittled down to just $171 million for oil purchases and $218 million for maintenance. This is a fraction of what's needed for a full refill. Lawmakers debate whether refilling the SPR is urgent, given strong domestic production and falling gas prices. Competing priorities and partisan politics slow the process. Past attempts to buy oil for the SPR have been blocked or delayed by Congress. The result: replenishment happens in small, slow steps. The pace of recovery is set as much by politics as by policy. The SPR's depleted state is now a political battleground. The Trump administration blames Biden for draining the reserve for political gain and damaging its infrastructure. They argue repairs and slow refilling are necessary to fix inherited problems. Biden allies defend the drawdown as a decisive response to a global crisis, not a political stunt. They say the releases stabilized markets and protected families from economic pain. Biden's team had a plan to refill the SPR when prices dropped, aiming to buy low after selling high. Now, both sides claim credit for protecting America's energy security. The debate is less about barrels and more about who managed the crisis best. Using the SPR is one of a president's most powerful tools in an energy crisis. Historically, it's been tapped only for true emergencies, wars or natural disasters. Releases under Presidents George H.W. Bush, Desert Storm, George W. Bush, Hurricane Katrina, and Obama, Libya crisis, followed this pattern. The SPR reached its peak under Obama, seen as a sign of national readiness. Biden's 2022 release broke precedent, using the SPR to fight high prices, not just supply shocks. Critics call this a dangerous shift. Supporters say it was a smart adaptation to a new kind of crisis. The debate now centers on whether the SPR should be a last resort or a tool for economic management. Each president's decision shapes the reserve's future role. The Trump administration's slow refill is a calculated bet. They aim to buy oil at low prices, avoiding market spikes and saving taxpayer money. Their energy dominance policy prioritizes domestic production, reducing reliance on the SPR. Infrastructure repairs from past drawdowns are slowing the process. Limited funding from Congress means only small purchases are possible. The approach is deliberate: repair first, refill slowly, and avoid overpaying. Critics warn this leaves the U.S. exposed if a new crisis hits before the reserve is full. The strategy is a gamble on stability and patience. A half-full SPR leaves America more vulnerable to future shocks, wars, disasters, or attacks on oil supplies. With 300 million barrels of empty capacity, the nation's energy insurance is thin. A depleted reserve limits U.S. leverage in foreign policy and crisis response. It could make presidents more cautious about sanctions or interventions that risk energy markets. Economically, the next supply disruption could hit consumers harder and faster, with less ability to stabilize prices. The gradual refill is a bet that no major crisis will strike soon. If that holds, it's prudent and cost-effective. If not, it could be a costly mistake. The SPR's future is a test of America's risk tolerance and readiness. The nation's energy security depends on how this gamble plays out.